Before we get started with the Sales Integrity Podcast, if you haven't already signed up for our free video email course titled 7 Steps to Master the Game of Complex Technical Selling, then you'll want to do so right away. If you're listening on your phone, then simply text the word SI course to the number 44222 or visit mastercomplexsales.com. Again, text the word SI as in sales integrity, so SI course, which is all one word with no spacing at all, to the number 44222 or visit mastercomplexsales.com. Now, let's get started with the podcast. Hello, sales achievers. Welcome to the Sales Integrity Podcast. I'm Sean Pickett, founder and CEO of Sales Integrity, a sales coaching services provider, and also the founder of my coach site, a coaching enablement software provider. This podcast is all about helping sales professionals, leaders, and organizations with a complex technical B2B sale to increase sales and earn more money, period. Today's theme, Finisher Friday. Since most salespeople like to be known as closers, on Fridays we will focus on one tip to finish the week strong to help improve your follow-up skills or improve your closing skills. So get ready to close this week out in strong fashion with today's Finisher Friday topic. And with that, let's get today's episode rocking and rolling. Hello, sales achievers. Welcome to Finisher Friday. It's time to finish the week strong, and today we have one simple idea for shortening your sales cycles as the topic of our discussion. So this one should be fairly simple. I'll get right to the point, so let's get to it. And I'm going to start by asking you some questions. First question, do you ever get so busy that you forget to follow up on an action item you promised a prospect or customer? Or do you ever get tired towards the end of the day and decide, I'll just catch up with my follow-up emails or calls tomorrow? Well, did you know that for every one day you delay in following up with your prospects and customers, that you can add at least 5 days to the sales cycle? The reason for this is simple. People get busy and other options, priorities, and distractions pop up. Think about it. Let's say that you met with a prospect and the prospect liked what he or she heard from you and agreed to a follow-up meeting. Then let's say you told the prospect that you're going to send a follow-up email to coordinate schedules and schedule that next step meeting. Then you shake hands, part ways, and off you go to your next meeting. This is a very typical scenario that I hear from a lot of sales professionals as it relates to their sales process. You see, sales professionals, or at least the good ones, tend to jam a lot of back-to-back meetings or calls in their schedule to try and generate as many leads and qualified opportunities as possible. So if you get to the end of the day and you're tired and you just think to yourself, well, I'll just send that follow-up email to the prospect tomorrow morning, you're doing yourself a huge disservice by delaying that action item. And here's why. In B2B complex technical sales, your prospect is typically a busy executive, right? When you send the email the next morning, you already added 1 day right there. Then, because the executive is busy, they typically don't reply for at least another 2 days on average, we found, if you're lucky. It's usually longer than that, but I'm trying to walk through a best case scenario here. So already you can add 3 days to the sales cycle, one for the day you delayed, and then the 2 days it took for the busy executive to get back to you. Then, as is typical, you're going to exchange another set of emails back and forth for another 2 days on average to finally nail down that day and time that you're both going to meet. So at this point, you are at 5 days delayed on the sales cycle because you voluntarily went into chase mode to get a meeting scheduled. But wait, there's more. When those 5 days go by, other meetings get put on the busy executive's calendar. Those other meetings compete with you for available time blocks on the busy executive's calendar. So because you delayed, you lost out on some earlier time blocks to those other competing meeting requests. This further delays your sales cycle on top of the 5-day delay you personally caused. On top of that, on average, the busy executive is booked solid with meetings for at least 7 days out on a rolling basis, if not longer, because of the executive's travel schedule or maybe some vacation time that's approaching. So you can add those 7 days to the 5 days lost, and that adds up to 12 days added onto the sales cycle. I think you get the point by now. Delay bad, taking immediate action good. Well, if you truly take the time to contemplate what I just walked you through, and you actually sell to senior executives in a B2B complex technical sales environment, then this will absolutely make logical sense to you. So given that, here is one simple idea for shortening sales cycles. Schedule the next step meeting or call right away while you're with the prospect or customer. Most all sales professionals have their calendars synced to their mobile phone or tablet. Just make it part of your normal routine to always schedule the next step meeting or call before you end the current meeting or call. Just pull out your phone or tablet and say something like this. Because I know we're both going to get real busy after I walk out of here, I'm going to go ahead and schedule the next meeting with you right now. Please do me a favor and take a look at your schedule, and I'm going to do the same. I'm then going to send you a meeting invitation right now to get the time blocked off on our respective schedules. That way, we don't have to go back and forth in a series of emails trying to coordinate schedules. I know we're both too busy for that. If they push back and they tell you they would rather wait, then that provides you some valuable information on the spot as to how serious they are about moving forward with you to the next step. That provides you a golden opportunity to address any concerns they may have before parting ways. This could also help you possibly salvage a lost sale before you go into the vast wasteland of ignored calls and emails as the prospect goes silent and disappears on you. However, if they are sincere in their response and they simply tell you that they have some other pending meetings that they need to wait for to see where they might settle in on his calendar or her calendar before locking up a time with you, then you can go ahead and say something like this. That makes perfect sense, and I certainly understand. What we can do then is agree to a time now, and I'm going to send you a meeting invitation now. And then if you find out one of your other pending meetings needs to bump our time, just let me know, and we can always move it. If not, then we're good to go, and that's one less thing we have to worry about in terms of going back and forth to try and schedule that next meeting. Make sense? If the executive is truly serious about meeting with you again, then this statement will absolutely make sense to them, and they won't have an issue putting a firm meeting on the calendar with you, knowing they could always move it. Does that make sense to you? Good. Well, that does it for today's episode. Easy peasy, as you heard. I hope it helped you a bit in thinking about a very simple concept that could have been easily forgotten as you get caught up in the hustle and bustle of daily selling activities. Now, let's wrap up today's episode with some quick reminders. First, we recently launched 2 new B2B tech sales professional groups, one on LinkedIn and one on Facebook. Just search for B2B tech sales professionals on either LinkedIn or Facebook, or both if you want to join both groups, and join the conversation with your peers there. Second, if you haven't already subscribed to our free 7-day video email course titled 7 Steps to Master the Game of Complex Technical Selling, then you can do so by visiting mastercomplexselling.com. Again, that's mastercomplexselling.com, or you can text the word SI course, so as in sales integrity, SI course, all one word with no spacing in between. If you send it with a space between SI and course, you'll receive an error message back. So text the word SI course to the number 44222. After subscribing, we will send you your first lesson via email right away on day 1, and then one for the next 6 days. Third, if you haven't already done so, please subscribe to this podcast on iTunes or SoundCloud. Just search for the Sales Integrity Podcast with Sean Pickett, and it should pop up and allow you to subscribe on one of those 2 channels. After you subscribe, please provide a quick 5-star rating and simple 1 to 2 sentence review to help others find the show. To provide a review on iTunes isn't as simple as you think. You can't do so directly within the podcast. What you have to do is actually click on the search icon, then type in Sales Integrity, and you will see my podcast there. Now, I'm referring to the purple podcast icon. When you click on that on your iPhone, brings up the main podcast center. Down below, you'll see the search icon. So click on that, type in Sales Integrity, and you'll see the podcast there. Click on the podcast. In it, you'll see the reviews tab in the middle there. Just click on that. And once there, you could provide a 5-star rating and simple 1 or 2 sentence review. Now, since iTunes prioritizes shows with the most ratings and reviews higher than those that have just a few of them, this will dramatically help the show be found by more people. So I greatly appreciate it. And finally, please share the podcast with your colleagues and friends who would find it relevant. You can do so by going to salesintegrity.com and click on the Sales Integrity Podcast menu link at the top of the page. All of the podcasts are there, and it provides you a way to click a button and share any episode, whether via email directly to individuals, or there's buttons there to share it on the various social media sites, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, etc. So I would greatly appreciate it if you spread the word about the show on social media to help grow it. And finally, that'll do it for today's episode. Now go out there in the sales world today and help your prospects and customers buy what they want, what they need, and what benefits them. And most importantly, go out there and make it a great day.